Okay.
Okay, I was waiting for her to tell me the damn thing started. I was gonna say, don't tell me that I can't record now.
So what I was gonna say is I can't wait to say how great Freaky Tales was and how utterly horrible and disgraceful The Grove was. It was if you're a filmmaker, and I'm sorry to start the episode off like this, if you're a filmmaker, you need to watch The Grove to understand how not to make a film. That's how,
Wow.
yes, it
You're just
was.
starting this. You're like hitting hard just
It,
from the get-go. I love it.
I love, Katie, I love independent film. I've made films now myself for the last few years. Never made a feature, and I understand it is so difficult to do. But when you make a feature and you go into the theaters, and we're not talking about Death of a Unicorn and Freaky Tales, The Grove. When you go in there, you want to have respect for the people who do it. But this was hard to not watch, but hard to listen to. That's how
Oh,
the sound was atrocious. And they had an AMC, they had a week or two run in there, and it's just very disappointing. It's a horror film about, it's kind of in the vein of like The Substance meets Captain America. It's interesting.
oh,
It's an
okay.
interesting, right? Interesting, but not so much because it is a rough film on a lot of instances. But that's for another time. So welcome to
Yeah,
Postmortem Radio.
Jay's kicking us off, dropping the Dookie bombs on and stuff all already. And I'm
And I hate doing
or
that.
the
I really
appropriate
do.
shirt, apparently.
Yes, that's right. It's all in the meat, baby. It's all in the meat. So, whoa. That's a penetrating picture you got there, Katie.
You said
Ah,
penetrating.
Nagged an extra one, I see, huh?
Bear with
yes.
me with my deep, raspy Kathleen Turner voice, which, if anyone actually said my voice was Kathleen Turner, I would consider that a huge compliment. So I'm just saying myself, but yeah,
I
let's
love
talk about Death of
yes.
a Unicorn.
Yeah, all right. Well, hey, welcome back to Postmortem Radio. I know it's only been a few weeks, I guess, since we've done an episode. It hasn't been like 6 months, which has been, the way it's been lately. But hey, we're trying we're trying to get together more often and do these because we love doing it, and it's just we miss your faces. Hopefully, you miss ours. All 14 of you guys that are watching us. Um,
All important. All 14 important people. We love you.
right, that's
Great.
right. So yeah, and if you we got some swag coming. So hopefully if you guys see us at a convention, we just had Horror Hound weekend where I got to see Jay in person. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Katie, but one of these days I'm gonna get to Chicago and I'm gonna get to hang out with Katie. Maybe I think Days of the Dead's coming up soon or something. I know
Something.
I was going to try to do C2E2 this weekend, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But we'll get
And
there.
I can't go anywhere anyway, but I was at Panic Fest 2 weeks ago, which I love, one of my absolute favorite festivals to go to, and one of the best film festivals in the country, and nay, I say the world, possibly universe. So if you have a chance, you are a filmmaker, I say submit. And if you are a film fan, film goer, our critic, journalists, go there and go to Panic Fest because they always have excellent programming, great, you know, uh, different films and world premieres and people that come out for the films. Got to meet one of the directors of Freaky Tales, and there were a lot of world premieres there that I got to talk to a lot of the creatives. That was very awesome. And yeah, it's in Kansas City, so Panic Fest. If you have any questions, hit me up. But check it out, and maybe we'll talk about that some other episode.
Good. Glowing endorsement. I have to put that on the list. That's one that I haven't made around to yet. So But it's great to be back. Katie's a little bit under the weather, so if she sounds a little raspy, or the episode's a little shorter than usual, then just kind of bear with us on this one. But we all saw this one. We wanted to get together and talk about it. Death of a Unicorn. Do you want to kick us off?
All right, I'll do my best impersonation here. I'm going to fail miserably.
Okay,
So
because I was not prepared to do that. So
that's okay. So this is written directed from Alex Sharfman, and this is not really a traditional horror film. This is more of a dark comedy, to say the least, with horror beats in it. Definitely, it's got a share of blood and gore, more fantastical. And it's got Jenna Ortega, the goth it girl for many years now, the Ant-Man himself, Paul Rudd, and then you've got a whole slew of great cast, including Richard E. Grant and William Pelter. And Tia Leoni's in this. You thought Tia Leoni was nowhere to be found anymore. She's back. And, it's a fun film. And the story follows, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, follows a father and daughter who are going up to further the father's career as Richard E. Grant, who is the patriarch of this big company. He is dying. And all of a sudden, guess what? When you least expect it, as some of us have been in, animals run into your car. In this case, a unicorn runs into the car. And from there, it's a spiral into fantastical madness as we see what happens when people are exposed to unicorn blood. We see what happens when the true nature of what human beings are. We see Jenna Ortega being the same character she always is. And we see Richard E. Grant, Tia Leoni, among others, get a little bit of a resurgence. And the film itself, has these mystical unicorns, which have this incredible healing properties that heal people. And we see this throughout the film with Paul Rudd, with Jenna Ortega, with Richard E. Grant. And it ends up turning into a horror film towards the end as the unicorns take revenge. I think that is in a nutshell. It was a fun film, and it was a film definitely worth seeing on the big screen, especially in Dolby, because they have a really good sound design. How did I do?
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it in XD at Cinemark in the
AMC.
So the sound was really great in there. Good job. Didn't have quite the.
I know. I'm not Katie.
It's hard to follow Katie, she does such a great job, presenting our films and tying it up with a nice little ribbon and all that. Jay, I'll give you one of the stick-on bows
well, thank you.
But good job. Good job.
Thank you very much. One thing I will throw out there is, and I don't know about both of you, but I was intrigued when I heard about the response at South by Southwest to this film. This guy came out with a huge buzz out of South by Southwest, and it really kind of intrigued me. And that when going in, I thought it was be more of a horror film rather than a dark comedy. So I think it's a little bit misleading on the promotion when it comes to it, but it pays off in the end. Kick off, I enjoyed this film for a lot of reasons. While I am not a huge fan of Jenna Ortega by any stretch of the imagination, I think she's kind of worn out her welcome, playing the same character over and over and over and over again, with or without acne. It really does not matter, because this film is a quality film, and definitely for me, I think it has a great mixture, great chemistry within it. I'm sure we'll find things throughout about it, but I definitely think this is one that I'm hating on the films, but I'm not hating on this because we enjoyed this greatly.
I can understand what you're saying about Jenna Ortega. I actually thought she had one of the strongest performances and one of the truest performances in the film. Yes, it is the angsty teen she's playing that. Hold on. The past 6 films she's been in, that's basically it. However, she nailed it. She had some emotional arcs in this film that I thought were chef's kiss. I unfortunately called this film a magical mess, because while I agree. Will Poulter, Tay Leoni, Richard E. Grant. One, I want to see more Tay Leoni and Will Poulter mother-son
Oh my
films.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
I want a whole like where's their Lethal Weapon? I want them to like go on the road and have adventures because they were amazing.
They
Tay
stole the show.
Leoni, where have you been? It's like, girl, I love you. I'm so glad I'm seeing you on screen again. Will Poulter, I mean, from seeing this and then seeing him in Warfare and seeing him on The Bear, it's like, dude, your career is so, I can't even imagine where it's going to go because this guy can do anything. Unfortunately, there was this ring, 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 ring. Yes, I'm Paul Rudd. I'm going to phone in my performance for this entire film. And that was the thing that would made me not like the film, I believe, as much as I would have. I honestly felt like he was miscast. I didn't believe the relationship between him and Jenna Ortega at all. There's like two minute little times when I believed it, right at the beginning of the film and right at the end of the film.
Yep.
But when you've got 90 minutes or so in between where it's like, yeah, dude, I do not believe anything you're saying. And Will Porter is like being such a goof. And I am going along with him more than your like emotions toward your daughter. That is an issue with me. I like the whole thing with the the healing powers of the unicorn. I also think, I mean, is it sort of overused that, billionaires are bad and they're gonna, extract? It's like, no. I mean, is it overused? Probably. Is there a reason why it's overused? Yeah, because billionaires can save the world and they don't. So there's that. But
Katie, can I jump in just for 1 second? I want to go
yeah,
off something you said and let you get back. It's very formulaic film. It's a very formulaic film. And I think the reason why Jenna Ortega is so beloved because not only does she play the same character, but she's the humanity of the film. She's
yeah,
the humanity film in the good ways. Will Poulter and Tia Leoni are the opposite side of the coin of humanities. But that's the thing. Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, and Richard E. Grant, we're bringing you on to play the same character you've played over and over. We want that for our film for mass appeal. That's it. We don't
yeah,
care about you there. So that I couldn't agree with you more about it. I agree with Leoni and Will Poulter and the characters it did, but those were so formulaic. It was all for about mass attraction and South by Southwest bit. And where did it go from there? The proof's right there.
yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, I liked the direction. I liked the setting. I liked everything about, nature and this magical essence that is unicorns and everything they represent. I was a unicorn girl growing up. My collection was immense. I mean, obviously I probably started unicorn hoarding when I was like 7. Like my entire room was unicorn, unicorn, unicorn. If there was unicorn, I would get it. So, I mean, I get the reason why people love them because, they're this beautiful creature. I also like the fact that it was a little bit cabin in the woods badass with the doing everything, and rightfully so, I think. Like you said, it goes into this magical kind of thing and then gets in the horror. But my biggest loss, I think, for the film was Paul Rudd. I think if there was someone cast other than him, I would have like honestly enjoyed this so much. I just couldn't with his performance. And believe me, I'm a rudder. I just made that up. That's not really what they call his fans. I just made that up. So maybe they will now. I don't know. But I mean, look, I love the guy, but this was not I no.
I gotta jump into it. I
Yeah.
mean, I gotta echo everything you just said because I am a huge Paul Rudd fan. Loved it. And when I heard about this, and I was so excited to go see this movie because I love literally everything that Paul Rudd's done. I mean, even some of his kind of, even Halloween 6. I love him in Halloween 6. Everything I've seen Paul Rudd do, I love. His personality, I think it's because most of the time his it's an extension of his true personality, and that's why it comes across on screen so well. He is the kind of goofy guy, and he is naturally funny, and he's just gifted, and and all of that is missing in this movie. Everything that makes Paul Rudd so lovable and enjoyable and so good at in all of the movies that he's in, it's all missing from this movie. When we got back, I came back and I told Janelle, I said, anybody could have played that character. It didn't have to be Paul Rudd. I was expecting more comedy. And there was comedy, yes, but I was expecting more. But the comedy that's in the movie did not come from him. And maybe that was intentional. Maybe they wanted to, change it up and have it come. And where it came from, it was really good. I mean, Taya Leoni was hilarious. Will Coulter stole the show. I mean,
oh yeah,
it was just but I was so disappointed, and I didn't think about it until I heard you say him mail in his performance, and that's literally what it seemed like. That he just kind of showed up and just went through the motions to get a paycheck. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine the guy's hurt.
That's so disappointing if that's the case.
But to kind of go back to what you said, Katie, about not believing the relationship between him and his daughter, Jenna Ortega, I 100% believe, because there's no part in that whole opening sequence where they're driving up there and everything. No part of that did I ever believe. It never fit that he was her dad. It seemed more like he was her freaking Uber driver and she was the odd person sitting in the front seat with him.
I'm going to say this real quick, and again, it's going to sound more and more like I'm a hater of Jenna Ortega. I'm going to tell you, it wouldn't surprise me if because supposedly Paul Rudd is like one of the nicest people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He really is one of the nicest. Do you reach a point where you have to deal with certain people and you just shake your head and say, I can't work with this person? And maybe that's the core of why his performance is so crappy, because maybe it's not him. I mean, he's responsible and culpable for the poor performance, but maybe it's not him who's the reason why.
Well, I mean,
think about that. I mean, it's not look at Scream, look at the Scream franchise. Just saying.
Well, and I mean that there could be something to that, Jay, because 80% of his scenes were with her. He had with the rest of the cast. I mean,
go ahead, Katie.
I mean, look, you could say that. I would say if that's the case, then that's a piss poor excuse for a bad performance. I don't care.
Look, you got to be a
I've worked with people who are absolute, sorry if anyone's monetizing this, shitheads. And that doesn't mean I'm going to let everyone know when I'm performing, know that the person that I'm working with is a shithead and that I despise them and that I wish something, maybe there's a cliff and they walk off. Or
maybe
a boulder
it's also
falls,
the director too.
A lot of Wile E. Coyote, means of demise. That doesn't mean I'm going to act like that and show that on screen. So if that's the case, I mean, it's like 70, 80 minutes. It's like, I just think he was cast badly. I think, if he had worn glasses throughout the movie, like I honestly didn't get that they were that they were father-daughter until it's like, he said something and it's like, oh, I kind of thought maybe they could have been like boyfriend, girlfriend or something like that. I know there's an age difference, but I wasn't necessarily for sure. And then I just didn't get anything that they're even related and that this is supposed to be like a bond between them. And he's doing this all for her because he definitely didn't seem like it. And then I don't know. I mean, it's maybe she would have been younger or something. I just thought that casting, I don't know. I felt like if it's a case that there was something between the two of them, look, she's the one who actually brought it and he didn't. So if that's it, then suck it up, Buttercup, and be a better actor and shut the F up.
I'm going to tell you something as someone who actually has directed people, as someone who's been involved in films and not just covering them. You also have a really kind of a first-time director who's handling a huge project with big names in it. And I'm going to tell you, if the relationship is not good through cast and filmmaker, it's a problem. Now, I'm not saying that's the case. None of us, all what we're saying here on Postmortem is stuff that we're going by, people we've talked to, experiences we've had, stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you why again, I'm not for 1 second giving an excuse for Paul Rudd's performance, because I agree with you on it. My problem is that there is definitely something amiss there when it comes to it. And maybe it really is. Maybe it's not Jenna Ortega. Maybe it's the director, Alex Sharfman. Maybe that's who it is. It's a first-time director, a lot of people. He's worked on a lot of projects, but he has not worked on anything really mainstream. He is a producer turned writer-director, which is a really interesting dynamic, because we're someone who's directed actors and dealt with attitudes already, and again, not feature films, short films. So I can only go by what I've gone through and the people I've talked to and I've interviewed over the years. It takes one little thing for things to fall apart. And maybe he is more of a fan of Ortega, or maybe he doesn't like both of them. Maybe he's a poor director. Maybe there's just not chemistry. I don't know. But again, I go back to the fact that it is all name recognition at the top of that bill for this film. That's what it is. That's what it is at the bottom line of it. So, you know what? Whether he's a bad performance or not, you know what? Maybe he is a miscast, but I'm going to tell you, it feels like it's a lot more than a poor performance and blaming him for why this film does not flow. It takes more than one person to make a film. Just a reminder.
For sure.
Oh, no. And I get that. And if it was only the scenes between him and Ortega that I thought were bad,
No, it's fair.
One thing, but I mean, honestly, I just felt like he didn't have a connection with anyone.
I agree.
In the film. So
yeah,
that's me. And I like the fact, I mean, I didn't even, until we got on here, I didn't realize that Sharfman was the producer of Resurrection, which is one of my favorite films in the past 5 years, with one of my absolute favorite performances, like possibly ever. But I mean, again, producer, not going to have anything to do with the actor when they're doing that and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was a magical mess. I thought some of the CGI on the unicorns looked amazing. I also thought some of the CGI was like
ick. Yeah, I agree.
But I got the school horn, so I'm loving that.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to jump in to is and say is as much as we want to say is how the disconnect, it didn't seem believable, the relationship between Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. I think the exact opposite can be said about Taya Leoni and Will Coulter's character. They they came off completely believable as mother and son, because you could see how, he could, get that personality from her. I mean, they just seemed, I don't know, there seemed like there could have been a legitimate bond there. I mean, that was totally believable, and I think that's another reason why they, in a way, sort of stole the show, in my opinion, for this one.
Yeah,
I agree. Good supporting cast with this. I was looking up if they listed what the budget was on this, because I'm kind of curious now to see what the budget was on it, because you talk about the effects, and I thought for what they did with the unicorns, it was good. I mean, again, this is kind of, taking something that connects the people. Katie, just like you, Susan was the same exact way. What did she love about it? The unicorns. That's what intrigued her about it, the unicorns. And it was a cool dynamic because you got to see a different side when it comes to the unicorns. It's interesting how we're talking so much about the performances, and yet, really, in my opinion, the unicorns kind of stole the show because they were the fun part of it. Just like in Ready or Not, the bride is the fun part of it. So you're looking at these elements that are being brought together. And perhaps the chemistry, maybe it was a magical mess. I think that's a great way of coining it, Katie. I absolutely agree with you about it. Maybe it's something that, it just doesn't work. I like the film. I guess I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum on this one. That's fine. I liked the film. I thought it was a fun film. Was it great? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Would I go see it again? Probably not. But I definitely enjoyed the film. In fact, Katie and I saw Freaky Tales. That is so much of an indie film, like a Low Life, like Ryan Pro's Low Life. It is such a great indie film, and it's done probably for a fraction of what that budget was. It's all about chemistry. It's all about story. It's all about the things that matter. And Freaky Tales was never trying to be a big production. It was just trying to tell a really great story, interconnected. I think Death of the Unicorn is just the opposite. It's trying to tell a fun story, a not so serious story, and This is, and Katie and Oz, you correct me if I'm wrong. You also have the idea of the social commentary. Social commentary is being weaved in there, and that, to me, I hate to say it, but it's a tired thread that's going through this, and maybe it's better without it. Maybe it's a better movie and better performances without that social commentary.
I could understand why you would say that, but at the same time, I think you kind of need to have that social commentary because of the whole, like, here's this creature that is magical and innocent. And the reason why it connects to Jenna Ortega is because she's a fair maiden, she is innocent. And then what has happened whenever you have that in history and society? They will try and manipulate and bleed out and bleed it dry to make sure they can get as much money or whatever they can with it and use it up, and then throw away the carcass and see how much they can get for that too. I will say that A24 has a unicorn horn lamp that has like purple goo that glows. Do I want it? Yes. Am I going to pay for it? No, I'm not. I mean, it's like $125 or something like that. If it goes on sale, maybe, but it won't. It's going to be sold out if it's not sold out already.
Katie,
but good for them for the marketing.
Katie,
A24 always kills it.
Katie, I was confused whether you're talking about sucking everything out of it was A24 or the story. I don't know, because A24, all they seem to do is try and suck the life out of these weird, eclectic projects. I'm sorry.
Naughty.
You know what? If it wasn't out there, it wasn't true. But the truth of the matter is, their A24 is wonderful at merchandising. If you go onto their website, they have so many great things. If you want stuff on Hereditary, you want stuff, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So I don't disagree with the merchandise. They are excellent.
I've got the hand from Talk to Me right over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, I enjoyed the movie, but I think my frustration with it was that I think because Paul Rudd was in it, I just expected so much more, and it didn't have the Paul Rudd quirky humor that I expected it to be, and I guess that, I mean, part of it, I guess, is on me for having that expectation going in, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy the film. It just, I was a little disappointed. I thought I was going to get a little bit more of that Paul Rudd character, that quirky, that humor, and I didn't. So it left me kind of flat. It's kind of like, why was he even in the movie to begin with? I mean, they could have cast anybody and saved money or whatever, unless they just wanted the name to help to pull. I mean, that's. But they got Jenna Ortega, who's, the horror, big name right now. But I mean, like you, I mean, I watched the movie. Will I watch it again? Probably not. I mean, Janelle might be able to, if she decides she wants to watch it, and then might be able to coerce me to watch it one more time at home or something. Because I went to see it with Brandon. I'm trying to get her to watch Hard Eyes. She won't watch Hard Eyes.
Speaking of painful experiences, let's talk about Hard Eyes.
Hey, come on now.
Hey, I mean, look, I will watch Death of a Unicorn again for Will Poulter and Téa Leoni. Like, I want to see that relationship. I want to see Will Poulter in that jacuzzi doing that whole thing and all that. And honestly, I mean, I'm just out the top of my head. Sam Rockwell would have been a much better casting choice than Paul Rudd.
I like that. I like Sam Rockwell. That's a great suggestion. Yes, I agree.
He's a much better subtle humor guy than Paul Rudd's more, direct.
I don't even think it doesn't even need to be, because it's like Will Poulter and Taylor, like, you have the family that is the extremes to what they're supposed to be. They're the humor. He needed to be the heart, and I just didn't believe his heart. That's the thing. And while Sam Rockwell is also, I mean, he's dramatic. I mean, he runs the gambit on everything he can do because he's, an actor, obviously. That's what we're supposed to do when you act. But I just felt like I could see Sam Rockwell being a much believable having a much more believable performance as that character, as a father who's like, trying to do whatever he can to ensure that he and his daughter don't have to worry about money and they're taken care of. And that's why he's working all these hours and has been distant from her and all that stuff. It's like there's a true reason. Like he's like, these couple years it's going to be hard, but then we're going to be set. And that's why I'm doing this. I know Paul Rudd said, I think almost those exact same things, but it's like every time he said it, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not buying it, dude. It's like, look, and he can do dramatic. He can do, straight man stuff. I always go in with no expectations. So I wasn't expecting him to do the quirky stuff, but this to me was like, I've seen him in things. He did an Apple TV series with Will Ferrell, where he was like totally something he's never done before. That was like, oh my God, where's this guy been? And he's, he played a spy who was in World War II, who was also a major league player. Again, amazing. I mean, the guy can act, but I just didn't believe it.
So I'll throw something in there, and I was thinking about this before and it just came back to me again. It's interesting because I think one of the things that tanks about Paul Rudd's performance is we don't have any emotional backstory, or we don't have any visual backstory about their relationship. It's kind of surface level at best. Maybe if that was thrown in and we had more of a something to invest in, maybe we feel more for him because the capabilities there. I think
they tried to do that.
No, they failed at it miserably. Failed at it miserably.
Very, yes, very much so. But that's why they threw the missing wife and mother in there.
Yeah, but you need something to invest. You got to build a story. And
right.
A24's philosophy is we're going to give you whatever you want and you like it. That's their philosophy on most of their movies. When it comes to that, though, I think it would have been better if it had been a grandfather and a granddaughter. And you know who would have been perfect for it? Robin Williams, if he had been alive. Because then you've seen him go on both sides of the fence with 1 hour photo with insomnia. And that's what Paul Rudd is turning out to be now. Paul Rudd is this generation's Robin Williams. And he needs a film that is a really hard, creepy-ass film to take him away from that clueless kind of character, which he's been for 30-some-odd years now, if not more. To have that grandfather who's gruff, who's there for business, who's able to turn things around. Because, spoiler alert, when you see Paul Rudd kill or try and kill the unicorn down the road, put it out of its misery, it just doesn't feel like, it doesn't work. You're not convincing me that you could ever be like that. And maybe he can. But I think if you change that dynamic and relationship, especially for their age gap, that would have worked much better for it. A24, call me.
You know who else I think would have been great to in that role? I think J.K. Simmons.
I think he's too serious.
Yeah.
You need someone who's got something. You need someone. He has his moments, but even his laughter and his funny beats feel like they're serious. Like he's a dramatic performer. He can do comedy, but he's a dramatic performer. I say Robin Williams in that vein because he knows that switch. He knows that line. He's lovable, but yet you could see him doing something because he can emote that kind of scariness. We've seen it. 1 hour photo. If you haven't seen 1 hour photo, see 1 hour photo. You understand completely.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I gotta say, man, every time you take a drink, I love seeing the postmortem Tumblr.
Thank you.
Love seeing that. No. Anybody out there wants one, send us a message.
Sounds good. Send us a message. Send us 5 messages. So, and where things
you gotta like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe. I agree.
Yes, please do. And comment.
Yes. We would love to interact with you guys.
Tell me how terrible my opinions are, please.
Yes. Tell us what you think.
Please. One other thing, Katie, I'll throw it to you also. It's the same editor that the directors worked with on Resurrection.
Interesting.
Yes, except he's a producer. So it's interesting to see what that dynamic is evolved into director, editor. That very well may have something, because when you shoot multiple takes of a particular scene, if the editor ultimately has control over that film, he's the one who's shaping that film. No one else is. So if he takes the wrong performances, it could change exactly how we feel. If you go back through that film, be interesting now to watch it and look for particular breaks in Paul Rudd's performance, saying, well, he's like this here, then he's like this there, he's like this there. Do those takes all match his character? And that's something, as an editor, as a director, I love doing that, because you want to build continuity. And this is something, maybe that continuity is not there. Maybe it falls on the editor for how this film was put together.
Yeah.
So.
All I know, I'd like a stuffed unicorn from this film if they end up doing it. Because even though I do complain sometimes about the way the unicorns look, sometimes, damn, they were magically majestic. Like it's like, yeah, baby. This is why I'm wearing this throughout the entire film, like at the screening, and why everybody else is too. And they're like,
so, did either of you, during the thing, after the first unicorn, the pretty unicorn dies, did anybody think that, either of you think that maybe that when the unicorn gets pissed off, it turned into a dragon, and that's what, because that's kind of where I was thinking it was going. I was like,
no, but I did like the color of the fur changing, though. How they became, that was a great visual cue of how they were dealing with the grief of their child. So there is definitely some things in this film that's interesting, and it gave a purity to the unicorns as well. Even though they were taking revenge, it's a great purity with it, which I love. But no, and that's the problem with it right there. Expectations on this being a fantasy film, because it is a fantasy film, but Oz, it's not like the Never-Ending Story. It's not like Harry Potter. It's not like all those
Legend.
kind of films. Or Legend. Exactly. It's not like that. So you're not going to see that. It's more focused. It's about the unicorns, but you've got to balance that human element with it. So
I just thought it started thinking, it started to look a little bit,
Well, I could see it right behind you. It's more like a werewolf than it does a dragon.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But I can understand that. I mean, the visual style, the way they rendered that. I mean, it still was impressive. I liked it. I liked the designs.
I thought it was a cool aspect, showing, because you always see, unicorns and so pretty and, lovable and stuff like that. But you never stop and think of, a unicorn being, in a negative, or a violent kind of thing. So I thought that part of the I thought was really, really cool, because you get to see the other side of it that I never really ever thought about. That if unicorns existed, that would be a kind of a really cool thing, that, as long as they're, but if you do them wrong, watch out.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. If I recall correctly, one of the reasons why Cabin in the Woods was made is because I think this, and I could be wrong with the story, I'm just recalling, and this, that movie's like, I think 15 years old, but I believe Drew Goddard saw someone with a shirt that had a unicorn fighting a werewolf, and he was like, light bulb, and that's what started the thing with Cabin in the Woods. And I was like, where do I find that shirt? Because I mean, that sounds amazing. And then you have Cabin in the Woods, where you have that badass unicorn that's like,
right. Yeah, one other thing that I thought was kind of funny throughout, that I experienced during this film, was, with Will Coulter's character, when he gets introduced, I immediately am like, okay, there's your rich Coke boy, right there. And so then the movie continues to go on, and I keep thinking, I'm like, when are we going to see this guy do the line of Coke? Because that's. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I was just stereotyping the guy. And then come to find out, when they're doing the unicorn shavings off of and then it was so funny, because when he had the violet, I was like, oh my, he's gonna do a line of that freaking, and sure enough, there, I was like, it was so funny. And then the way they did it with the eyes and everything, and I mean, they even had him OD and then come back. I mean, I was like, wow, that was just, I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny and pretty entertaining.
It definitely had some great visuals in it.
Yeah, for sure. Even though, I mean, if it is to laugh about somebody doing drugs and overdosing, but I mean, the way they did it, it was because I was waiting for it to come, and it came, but it was in a completely different way than I thought it was gonna have it. But yeah, I thought that was
Well,
and how about Taya Leone's death scene? I mean, they just, with as much CGI as in this movie. I mean, that was some pretty cool looking. I mean, I don't know if that was. I mean, it looked practical, at least the guts part of it. I don't know. I mean, but I mean that was the bulk of the gore right there was in that scene alone.
I agree
That
with you on the bulk of the gore. Go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I was gonna say that scene reminded me of like it was very reminiscent of Jurassic Park to
Yeah.
me. Like maybe Jurassic Park 2 or something with the T-Rex and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, you guys are going medieval on her ass. Look at that. It's like, damn.
Well,
Well,
and she got thrown around. I mean, man, she got a. She probably that was probably the roughest death to watch in the film was hers. I mean, I think she got it the worst.
well, one thing I'm going to throw in there, and Naz, I'm glad you brought it up, was the fact that it was kind of cheap in the way they wrote out what the benefits of the unicorn's blood was, because it served the purpose, and it was a really cheap purpose of showing that, they have a usefulness instead of just being something that they should get rid of. They're exploiting them. And Katie, I believe you brought it up a little bit earlier. They're exploiting them. And this goes back not with Jenna Ortega with the acting, because that was a really cheap way, and the cheap door into why one of the reasons why she's worthy, but also with Paul Rudd cheap. But Will Poulter's intelligence increase, that could have been really good if they had developed that. And I wonder how much more they shot of that they didn't end up using, because he was great in the comedy role he was. He is that character, and he can play really dumb, really nice, and really, really mean. He can handle the whole spectrum of that type of male dynamic character. But to have him now have this enhanced intelligence and just to waste it for maybe a 10-minute spot after he's snoring like a full line of the unicorn's horn, it was such a waste of a great comedic moment. And that's one of the beauties of this film. Again, it's a dark comedy. It's being very reflective of society, and how this generation, and it's funny because Jenna Ortega being the one who is pure when it comes to this, how this generation, Gen Z, millennials, and if you want to go a generation before that, or generation before millennials, how they don't really believe in this anymore, how they've kind of gotten away from it. So it's funny that the younger character is made to look like she cares about this and that, and the older characters are meant to be the old bastards who don't care about it. It maybe again maybe this film needed to be rewritten and not directed by the writer of the script, because it's a really interesting thing that if you had shuffled these kind of character archetypes around and you had changed the two lead, and again, grandfather, granddaughter, whatever it is, or built some emotional equity in these characters, it would have been a better film to go along with a lot of fun with those unicorns. It's not a bad film by any stretch. Again, I enjoyed it. We're kind of mixed feelings on this, but this is a film that suffered from, I believe, the first time director getting to direct his script. And I think that's a problem, because usually if you have first time directors in it and they're the editor, that's a big problem. This obviously to me seems kind of like a problem.
I would have liked to have seen Griff, the butler slash
Yes,
he does everything.
Mr. Zaz in Gotham.
It's like, it's like I have a child. It's like, you have a child? You have a child. Yes, of course you have a child.
So
And it's like, I love that. It's like, you have a child? Yes, you do. What? I knew that. You worked for me for what, 10 years? Yes,
Exactly.
I totally knew that. Now go out and, act like go do that. Go open the gate. Go open the gate. It's like,
That's
no, they're
right.
gonna kill me. They
They won't.
won't. Yeah. Like I loved his character, and I also feel like, maybe I wonder if the director has a connection to Chicago, because there's a couple people in here that you don't really see their faces, like Dave Pasquizzi, who's the pilot, and Catherine Irby, who's the Tapestry video narrator who has Chicago connections, like with improv and Steppenwolf. And I just noticed that now, like looking through the IMDb list and stuff like that. But I mean, look, it's again, like I said, there's nothing about this cast that I thought was amiss except for Paul Rudd. And that I think is why it just left me on a sour note. But yeah, I would see this again. As I said before, I would watch it again just to reminisce and try and experience those Tay Leoni, Will Porter scenes again. And and I just like I was saying when I was doing the Griff thing, going over what she was saying and stuff like that. It's like I wanna see that again and reenact it because I mean she was great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think it's worth seeing at least once. But to go back to what you said, Jay, about his intelligence being enhanced when he snorted the horn. So are you saying that what they should have done was it could have been sort of a limitless kind of
no, you could have had him trying to outwit the unicorn, which would have been hilarious. They actually gave him some room to do it. Not like a limitless thing. No, I mean, you want to develop the character again. Hitty had brought this up, the mom and son dynamic. You could do something like that. But no, you got to have something that fits in the runtime. And for him to try and outwit the character, the unicorn, by doing some sort of trope, like he sits down and does the calculations, or he sits there and he comes up with an elaborate plan, or he sits there and he tries to think he can outthink the unicorn. Something that's off the wall funny that would kind of balance what the horror is, because you're dealing with a rampaging animal. Well, guess what? You got to deal with something else. And Jurassic Park was a great example of how you did it. You had these sleazy raptors. You had this big Tyrannosaurus Rex. What'd they do? They brought in Jeff Goldblum. What'd they do? They cracked jokes. They found that chemistry to be able to do it.
Well, I think he did in a sense.
But it should have been more.
Should have been more. But I mean, they did throw in the scene there where he what was it, a shoe or whatever he threw to distract it and then go the other way.
Yeah, but that's something we do. That's not something that that's something we do.
But
I would do it
before he snorted the coke or the horn. He wouldn't have because he was dumb as shit.
Yeah, but that's no character growth.
But at least it got him up
power.
At least it got him up. I didn't say it was a superpower, but at least
it is a superpower.
It got his intelligence up to at least to a normal person that would have thought of that. That's kind of the way I would look at it. He wouldn't have thought of that any other way. On his own.
I wish we had seen more, and I wish they had. I'd like to see what an extended cut would look like for this.
Oh yeah.
Or even the blooper reel. I would have liked to see that.
Yeah, the blooper reel probably would have more comedy than the movie ended up having.
Yep.
So I think we're kind of all three sort of like, I'm like kind of a little bit more.
I'm like 3/4 of the way up.
I'm like,
there you go.
Yeah, it's yeah. My unicorn horn is not fully erect.
My double jointed.
Take pills for that, buddy.
I need to snort some unicorn horn, or give me an IV with some unicorn blood in it. Although purple is my favorite color. So.
There you go. There you go. I know it's still out in theaters. Yep. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see how much it's made.
I'm gonna say this while Katie's looking up. If you want to see a movie out in theaters that is horror-esque, on the fringe of horror, go see Freaky Tales.
I looked around, cannot find it.
Go see it.
None of the theaters in my area are showing.
It's very limited, but it is a fantastic film. And if you had the choice between the two, go see Freaky Tales.
Not even competition. Freaky Tales, honestly, one of my favorite films of the year.
Yes.
Amazing.
I second that.
Is it an anthology?
Yes.
Like
no.
It's a mixtape.
Yeah, it's in 4. And you know what? It's funny you say that because at Panic Fest, Joe Lynch, and I'm stealing this because I've said this and I'm quoting him. Joe Lynch said that it is a cinematic mixtape And honestly, that is the perfect way to explain it. It's set in 4 parts. It's all within like 48 hours or maybe even less.
24, I think.
Yeah. And they all all the parts intertwine in a way, and it is fantastic. Jay Ellis has one of my favorite performances of the year. Pedro Pascal, one of my absolute, and it's going to be hard to top the cameo that is in this film, which don't say it, Joe, because people need to see it.
Can I say something, actually, Katie? I'm glad you bring up Pedro Pascal. This is a parallel to what we were just talking about. Paul Rudd's in the movie, and Paul Rudd is playing Paul. Pedro Pascal is playing Pedro Pascal. And in Freaky Tales, it works. He's balancing the nice guy and the rough guy. This is what Paul Rudd has not been able to do yet. And it works. You know who would have been great in A Death of the Unicorn? Pedro Pascal would have been great in Death of the Unicorn.
He would have been great in Death of the Unicorn too. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been great.
I probably wouldn't have gone to see it if he was in it, to be honest with you, because
you're missing out, man.
I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, he's a great actor. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just getting sick and tired of seeing him in everything.
And I'm sick and tired of Paul Rudd. Enough with Ghostbusters. We're good. Thanks.
Oh, no, I didn't go see Ghostbusters, either of the Ghostbusters.
I will see Pedro Pascal open up a Target. I don't care. That man is fine as F. And
okay, not that much.
Whatever he wants. That is why I posted his thing that he was doing some earbud commercial. I'm like, yes, you did. Yes, I'm not going to buy that. I'm just going to rewatch this and think G thoughts when I'm thinking X things. But
all right.
I mean, Pedro Pascal is amazing. He just keeps getting better with a fine wine, but he was great in Freaky Tales. Everybody was great in Freaky Tales. And yeah, it's got amazing music. Oh my God.
Amazing music, amazing stories. And the first episode of Freaky Tales, the first tale, the punk tale, is my favorite. The punk tale, if you are a child of the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, like I am, you will absolutely love this. And if you're a fan of hip hop, you're a fan of music, you're a fan of punk rock, you're a fan of anything style, it was just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Katie and I think we're on the same page. If this isn't favorite of the year, it's top 3 right now for what it is this year so far.
Yeah, I already know it's definitely going to be in my top 10. Like, not even a question. I don't even care what else. It's like definitely top 10, because that was something I didn't know. I knew Pedro Pascal was in it because of some movie posters. I try not to look at anything else. And then when the story unfolded, I was like, that was better than I mean, I always go in with no expectations. And that was like, I will honestly say that was my favorite film from Panic Fest.
Wow. Yeah. I can agree. I saw it at AMC. I loved it. And I want to throw something out there really quick. And this is something that needs to be said because I had an opportunity only 1 year to go to this festival. Thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Adam Lopez, who passed away from a long battle of cancer. He was the founder of Toronto After Dark Film Festival, and he passed away last couple days, and he battled so hard, and there were so many people in his close family, in his extended family, in Toronto After Dark family, in the film festival community. I was there in 2018, and I had a chance at their festival not only to see Train to Busan for the second time, but I saw Under the Shadow, which arguably has one of the greatest scares I've ever experienced in a movie theater. And it's a credit to him and everyone there for the incredible programming that comes through a city that it has TIFF, has Blood in the Snow, has just so many wonderful Female Eye Film Festival, so many wonderful film festivals. But he was an incredible person and an incredible innovator for that Toronto film scene, and he was awesome. A great guy. And thoughts and prayers again go out to his family in all forms for his loss.
Yeah, my sincere condolences. Cancer is a son of a bitch, and I'm sorry that happened.
Yes, it was rough, and he chronicled the whole thing So you saw him go through the highs and the lows and the transformation and everything else that went through it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know, we talk film festival films. KU is just a Panic Fest. I used to go to so many festivals. I used to love traveling to it. Life has changed a lot. And that was one of the festivals that always sticks in my mind that year when I was out in Toronto. So thoughts and prayers out there to everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up on Death of a Unicorn. Well, I think I don't know. I really want to do an episode on Drop next week. I know, Katie.
Sure.
We'll see.
Have you haven't had a chance you haven't seen it yet, have you, Jay?
Well, I have not had a chance to see it. And again, I went to see The Grove today, which the sound design and edit was horrific. My ears are still bleeding. That's why I have these headphones on, so you don't see that. But I will see if I can. But to be honest with you, I am getting ready to helm a fan funding for a Broadway project. So
wow.
Yes, for a retro swing musical called Swing Dogs, a retro swing fantasia with Gordon Farrell. And we're in the process of getting everything together over the next 10 days, I think 2 weeks. The fan funding will be up on Indiegogo. We're setting everything up now, but the script is incredible. It's for the industry reading, which is the doorway to getting it onto Broadway. So it's going to be a big project. So hopefully, yes, I can say, but I make no promises because the next couple of weeks are hectic. But I will hopefully get a chance to see Drop. So even if it's not then, we can talk about it afterwards. So just want to be honest with you, folks, because we all have busy lives. We all go through a lot of stuff. So
Absolutely.
It's not easy. So, but we love you anyway.
Understood. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah.
Yeah. And even if we all saw Death of a Unicorn, I say if you're going to see a film this weekend, because I think it comes out, go see Freaky Tales or go see Danny Del Pellegritoreo's Marshmallow that comes out April 11th. It had the world premiere at Panic Fest again. I know I'm just really touting up Panic Fest, and it deserves it. Danny Del Pellegritorio, amazing job directing. It won Best of the Fest, and he won Best Director. And it is a really cool film about summer camp that has a twist you won't see coming, and great performances by kids and some freaky special effects and stuff like that. So check it out.
Yes.
And before we go, if you didn't get a chance, if you didn't make it to Horror Hound back last month, Rewind kicked off tonight. It's Thursday. It might not be Thursday by the time this drops, but it'll be this weekend. So it's going on all weekend. So you get to see panels, you get to see films, all that kind of good stuff. So check it out. Rewind.
Yes, it is. And September's show is going to be huge. Big shout out to everyone at Horror because they're doing a great job with it. That's the great thing about film festivals, conventions, folks. They are there for you.
Yep. And I'm actually working on with them trying to get something to happen for the September show. So hopefully it happens, and we'll see. It centers around one of my favorite films from the horror films from the 80s, Jay, that you probably don't like, but
which one? Come on, there's a whole list
right there.
I can't see it. I can't read backwards. What does it say?
You can't tell what that is?
No, what is that?
That's Christine.
Oh, it's Christine.
Oh, I love Christine. Are you kidding me? Actually, real quick. So Mike Flanagan's Carrie limited series. If you have not checked out the article on Dread Central, really interesting perspective on why they haven't casted a fat actress in the role. Really interesting article for those out there and why they haven't casted a fat actress for the role of the role of Carrie. So go to Dread Central. Read it, and decide for yourself. I'll leave it at that. So,
all right.
And I wasn't paid by Dread Central to say that. Just found that interesting, that article.
All right. Well, hopefully we can get back together soon, and because we love doing this. We love all your faces. So let us know what you think. Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe. We love your faces. We'll give you a shout out. And if you see us at a convention or something, come say hey.
Hey.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.